and sometimes little battles would break out or whatever, but they'd be genuine things, you know.
Yeah.
Where there, it was sort of my turf. So if somebody just started doing a handstands or something, no, you know, I never felt like that was even anything. I could just go out and do the most simple little things to it and feel like I'm smoking them. And it was brick, so there was not a lot of room for guys to, you know, spin and do all kinds of crazy stuff. So in a way, it had a little bit of an advantage to me.
Ah, that's pretty cool.
It was actually a really, in my memory, a really great place, great environment. All kinds of people would show up. You'd have MC battles on one end of the corner, and you'd have b-boys going off on the other side. You'd have people just crowd around, you know, hanging out. It was pretty great.
Yeah, there aren't any spots like that here in San Diego where they do that.
No, it's really the only thing I miss about Arizona is something like having like a mill.
Wow.
I mean, we thought about it when we first got here.
Yeah.
Me, Storm, Mikey. We were kind of like, you know, maybe going through withdrawals because we didn't have something like that. But there isn't a place, really. You know, the gas lamp would be kind of like the environment it would be.
Yeah.
But the gas lamp is a little bit more cheesy, a little more touristy, and
you'll get kicked
and
out.
You'll get
too.
kicked out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've tried that already.
Yeah. I mean, what was kind of cool is we were right next to an Urban Outfitters in Phoenix, and there is one downtown, and it has very similar floor. And it's kind of actually a nice corner,
Similar.
so it would work. You know, it was like it almost like we could just transfer the whole thing here. But yeah, it gets, you can't have live music there, and you get kicked out if you're blocking the sidewalks. And and if you start dancing, usually the sidewalks crowd up pretty quick. So, oh well.
Rock So Fresh, you know, one of the biggest crews here in San Diego. Surprisingly, you were the one who thought up the name Rock So Fresh.
By default.
It's not even surprising. To me, it was like it was nothing special, you know. The name at the time that I did it, they made it their own. So
Yeah.
now I think it has a totally different connotation. I meant it in a
Totally.
totally different way, but yeah, that's true.
How did that come to be? Like, you just...
Funny story.
Like I said, I was hanging out at Style Rock Shop all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, you'd see, like, graffiti shirts come through, stuff that, like, Zodak was doing and Tribal was doing and these kind of things. And, you know, I wanted to do something like that, but I wanted to do something a little bit more one-off, you know, one-of-a-kind kind of things.
Yeah.
You know, everybody does this for some point in graffiti. Somebody always wants to make whatever, jackets or screen print T-shirts or something with their name on them.
Yeah.
And I was going to do jean jackets at first. And then I had this long discussion with some of the friends there, and we all kind of agreed, like, that's whack, you know? Like, a jean jacket is like, you got to earn it. You got to do it yourself, or you got to have your friend do it. You can't, like, just go buy a graffiti jean jacket at a store. That's whack, you know?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do jean jackets. So I was going to do backpacks. So I started painting backpacks. First I just did one for myself as a kind of cool thing, and people liked it, so I was going to do some. But I had to pick things that were, you know, just generic, okay, for lack of a better term. So, like, if you think about it, like the old graffiti b-boy characters, and on their belt buckle it would say ski, or something like that, which just meant that anybody could be that. It wasn't, you know, specific to a person. And so, Rock So Fresh to me was kind of like saying, like, you know, get funky or something. You know, it was sort of like just a generic thing that, like, anybody could have this backpack, and that applies to them. Now, the funny thing is, on the backpack, I also did a self-portrait. So it had a picture of me in a mock neck, and then the words "Rock So Fresh" next to it, which is kind of funny that, you know, somebody else would buy that. But nobody ever did buy it. Okay, what happened is Optic came out to Arizona for a jam. What was that you guys came out for?
That was somewhere around 2001, I think, or 2001.
Yeah, something like that.
It was before 9/11, I think.
Yeah, I think so. No, I'm sure it is. Whoa.
And yeah, we were stuck out there for a week.
Yeah, that's because Saki put diesel in his wife's car.
Oh, that was great.
They were like, like, man, the like, it was like you, Optic, E-Swift, and man, my apartment had so much fart in it, man, and all the like dog pile humping. It was pretty funny time. Anyway, so they all came out, and no one had ever said a thing about these backpacks. You know, nobody had ever responded. Nobody wanted to buy one, and basically, Aaron really liked it. You know, he was sort of like, yeah, that's cool. It's this, that, and so I was like, well, it's yours. You know, what am I going to do with it? So I gave it to him because I thought he appreciated it. And then, I don't know, like 6 months later, I heard from Saki or whoever that it was a crew now. And I was a little bit like, wow, why? I mean, it's like, to me, those words were like ski. I mean, they didn't really represent anything to me. I didn't choose them for that reason. Like I said, I think they actually made it their own. And I don't really read it that way anymore. But when I did it for totally generic so that anybody could have the backpack.
Surprisingly enough, they asked you to be in the crew and you didn't want to be in it.
Not kind of long story. Not really. That's not exactly true. What happened is, what happened is, I was still in Arizona and I was getting ready to move out here, planning the move out here, and I heard from, I think Saki. This would be classic Saki. Saki told me that they were planning on jumping me, they were going to battle me. All right, and I think it's a good thing. It's a friendly thing to do. You got a whole crew of guys that's going to battle you. You should be allowed to prepare. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that was the first thing. The first thing is I didn't like that. Like I was still competitive. At that moment, I was probably the most competitive I've ever been because I was actually confident in what I was doing. Also, So that moment was just a bad time for such a thing. So I planned on coming out here, and I was like, okay, then that's what it's going to be. You know what I mean? But if they're going to jump me, then it's going to be a battle, and none of this handshakes and giving out T-shirts at the end. Let's battle then. So here's the way it went down for me is I got here and I went to this jam, and it was the day before or 2 days before a bigger jam. I don't remember what it was.
Queen Bee.
Queen Bee. It was Queen Bee. That's right. So there were like 2 days leading up to that, and so day one I go to this jam, and I know they're supposed to come out on me.
Yeah.
Now I don't pay any attention to it because, like I said, at this point I'm just all about dance. So I go out and I just start dancing right off the bat. I'm not going to hold back nothing. I just go out, and I'm waiting for it to happen. I'm waiting for a guy to throw nuts at me, and it doesn't happen. And then the battles happen, and it's like, Eddie Styles and Sasso and those guys, they enter the competitions.
Yeah.
And the night before, I was actually hanging out with Optic, so we became kind of like friends overnight. So I felt like I think it's cheesy when you throw dick in your friend's face. So I didn't really want to battle Optic. I had already kind of felt like, I don't want to go out on this guy because it's too cheesy now. Like I was liking the competitive atmosphere.
Right.
And so I'm going out all night, and I noticed that Eddie and Sasso and the other guys, they're going out all night, but there's one dude not going out. He's saving, man, and he's saving up for me because he wants to smoke me, and it's E Swift, who I actually at that point really believed was the best dude. I mean, I was aware of E Swift long before. I mean, from the bboy Summit videos, and I thought he was fucking nasty. So it was an added thing to me. It was like, man, the best dude in the crew, he's saving up. That's not fair. Because that dude's he's got stuff, and I like what he does. So it's not fair, So at the very end of the whole night, I'm exhausted. I've been dancing all night, whatever. Somebody goes out on me. Maybe it was Sasso or Eddie goes out on me. And I mean, like the place is dwindling now, It's like it's over.
Yeah.
And he goes out on me. And I just basically had decided about 10 minutes before that if it happens now, I'm not battling those other guys because they all did their stuff that night. But he was waiting. He was hunting, you know what I mean? That dude was hunting me.
Yeah. Lying in the grass.
Exactly. I mean, trying to sort of stay out of view, not show off what he's got, not give anything away, not waste any stuff. Man, just waiting for me and wait. And so when they called me out and they all kind of lined up, I basically told the rest of them, like, no, just me and this guy. And I think for me and E Swift, I don't know if he would agree, but I think it's probably both of our worst battles of all time. Both of us were just terrible. I think because, for one, I was exhausted and dehydrated. I threw up right after that battle, literally right afterwards.
And it's the end of the
night. And he, had there was no hype because he hadn't been dancing all night, so he wasn't warm. We were both just awful. I felt, and I'm embarrassed when I see that video periodically. It's like, man, we are terrible. Especially since it was all this hyped up thing. Now, to go a little farther with it, like I said, it's a little bit of a story, but
Yeah.
I was not opposed to being in Rock So Fresh. I actually felt a little honored that anybody wanted me in a crew because I was doing my thing totally solo in Arizona.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
besides the Tempe Bronx friends who are now just style rock crew, you know, and we weren't a crew. None of them were dancing, so it was just me.
Yeah.
So I felt honored in a way. You know what I mean? I felt like that's a pretty nice thing that somebody wants me in a crew again.
Yeah.
Although I think right before that, I had talked to Wicket a few times, and Wicket was kind of talking about Footwork Fanatics a little bit, which I didn't have any interest in that either. But it wasn't so much that I didn't want to be in Rock So Fresh. It's that I was getting ready to move out here. I didn't want to get in that battle. Had they asked me, do you want to be in the crew? And I said, yeah, and then they battled me, it would have been different. But what I'm saying is they expected me to be like, yeah. Like you can throw dick in my face, and then now I'm in your crew without ever asking me if I was even interested. So I felt a little weird by that, you know. I didn't like it, but I wasn't opposed to it.
Right.
When I first moved out here, I kind of had total respect for them already, and my thought was, and this was the whole sort of beginning of Get Right, was when I move out here, there's a real chance in San Diego to do something that I felt was really needed in the breaking scene in general, which is there needed to be a small kind of grassroots movement of the kind of breaking that I was interested in, the kind of breaking that it seemed like Rock So Fresh was interested in, that a few people were doing. And so I think you can't have one crew and influence anybody, because it ends up being that it's just that crew's thing. Until you get 3 or 4 crews. Now, maybe that crew can influence another group.
Yeah.
And then once there are 3 or 4 groups, now you've actually got something happening. And so my thought was, what I wanted to do is to take the people who I was really interested in, which was really Optic and E Swift. They were the 2 guys who I thought were just they were doing a little bit more of what I was talking about. So what I wanted to do was to take those 2 guys and myself and start a crew on the side, and then basically pass Rock So Fresh off onto those guys, so that we could basically be 2 teams on the same side. You know what I mean? Like when we go to competitions, we'd support each other. We could even battle each other in the competitions, take each other's side in real battles. But basically, we'd have sort of a peanut gallery for each other that wouldn't be the same group.
Yeah.
It's not like just your friends or your allies cheering for you. It would actually be sort of like, oh, there's something happening in San Diego. There's this new, maybe not new, resurgence of this kind of style. And it actually ended up kind of working that way once a few other crews happened.
I think it did.
It didn't work for me. It actually just created animosity. It's like everybody just hated me afterwards, I think. Because I think E thought that I was trying to break up the crew, and that guy is very loyal.
Yeah.
So he didn't like that, which was pretty obvious, the way he responded to me afterwards.
Yeah.
Eddie and Sasso, who I think before I got here, because of maybe through Saki and Optic, kind of thought that I was cool and interesting, and then when I tried to battle them the first night and didn't let them go out, and then didn't take their shirt, were basically like, fuck this guy, you know. So I did the exact opposite of what I had hoped to do moving out, which was to sort of like, get a group of people who actually I thought were good and were doing things I thought were interesting, and to push that.
Yeah.
And it turned out that what I did instead was I totally alienated myself and created a lot of animosity that was uncomfortable to have to deal with, But I think later on it actually, my theory worked. I think Rock So Fresh did what they did well, and that got guys like Cypher City Kings to do it.
Yeah.
And it started affecting even b-boys who didn't like them, because they were winning competitions, because they were being respected, because what they were doing looked different or looked original versus the sort of stream of everybody else doing the same stuff.
Right.
So I think even guys who don't like them, who were not interested in what they did, started subconsciously stealing from them, doing their kind of top rock steps, doing certain little combinations a certain way, dancing to the beat certain ways.
Yeah.
So I think it actually did kind of work later on. It just didn't work for me. It actually served the exact opposite effects for me.